This is Starr. This morning I'm just going to share a few thoughts on the most simple, basic coin in typology, which is extroversion and introversion. One would think that this would be a simple, easy way to take half the possibilities off the board like that. But as we know, things aren't always as they seem, nor are they as they're supposed to be. So I think to start with, my first problems with the term ambivert, which seems to be making its rounds in the typology groups on Facebook recently. Even though it was common in contemporary culture, the typology community was largely unaffected by this in the past because they knew that it was just kind of a whitewash of the categories and making the category in itself meaningless, because if we're taking ambivert from a real definition, then we all qualify to some extent as ambiverts, because we can all be extroverted, we can all be introverted. So my focus is more on the distinction between these two and the problem that I'm encountering personally, as well as what this means in a more general issue, typology wide. So let's start. When we think of what makes someone an extrovert or an introvert, I think the first thing we think of is one's focus. Are you more focused on the outside world, like this, or in your head, like what I'm thinking and feeling right now? Back to ambivert, obviously, I'm both. I guess I'm an ambivert. Okay, we're done. No, not really. Anyway, so when your focus is more outward, you're more prone to extroversion. When it's more inward, you're more prone to introversion. And the thing is, this is going to be on a spectrum. You're going to have some people who are really outward based, some people who are really inward based, and some people who are a little harder to know which side of that coin they're really on, because they're sort of both. What I don't like is when people, and this already leads to my general problem, when people interpret any behavioral measurement as either an exception or they turn it into part of their own argument. In other words, you could say, for instance, I'm going to use myself here. I've never been professionally typed as an extrovert or as an introvert, ever. Not once. I've been typed by like 5 different professionals, and all 5 said extrovert. Now, why is that? I'd like to know by what basis, because I told all these people I pretty much don't have any friends. I mean, I'm friendly with a lot of people. I would say I have acquaintances, but as far as close friends, I only have 1 or 2 people besides my kids who I even talk to. And even my kids, the older ones, I don't talk to them as much as one would expect. So the social part's totally nil. Since I got completely clean and straight edge, sober, no alcohol, no drugs 3 years ago, I've had lunch with 1 friend, and I've gone out at night 0 times. I've gone to 0 parties, and I've had a couple of work get-togethers, which I always dip out early. And I mean, this is in 3 years. I know people that in 1 week do more with other people than I've done in almost going on 4 years now. So, and I've explained this trend to everyone who's ever typed to me, but they skip right over it and just go, oh no, extrovert, ESTP or ESFP. Okay. Liking people. Okay. I had an afternoon play date with my kid and his kid friend and their parents, and I like these people. They're very nice. We have some things in common, and after an hour I was exhausted socially. I was ready to go. I was tired. I wanted to get out of there, and I ended up having to stay for like 4 hours. It was pure agony for me, and to no one's fault except my own. But being drained in social situations, is that not introversion by the regular definitions? I mean, I wasn't in pain. I wasn't in any kind of physical discomfort. I wasn't even in mental discomfort. I had my phone with me. I could look online and stuff. It was just, I felt like I was turned on socially. I had to listen. I had to be present to other people. And I was thinking I could move furniture out of a full 1-bedroom house by myself, and the physical work that would take would be less exhausting for me than the effort it took to stay smiling and listening and social that whole time. And the last 2 hours probably it didn't matter. I was done. I was it was over. Another thing, they think, well, you can't go by behavior, but people do go by behavior. And if we're going by behavior, I was a philosophy major. I'm an academic at heart. I do these videos. You see me interviewing people on my video? Do you see me reaching out widespread to the community? No, these things, maybe 4 people will listen to this. It's for me, mostly. I don't know what category I qualify as an extrovert. Maybe because I like to dress in bright clothes, so people think that's a call for attention. It's not. I like matching my clothes. A lot of them happen to have nice, bright colors, which I like. ISFPs are like that, and they're not extroverts. So you can't call someone that based on one aspect of their personality. I'm just trying to think. Again, I don't like parties. I don't like crowds. I'm in my head most of the time. I don't go out. I'm focused inward. In what world am I an extrovert? And I see people in Facebook groups and my original home groups, ESTP, ESFP, and I just think, how was I ever typed as one of these? How? It's got to be like because of what I look like or something. Maybe it was from my original typing. So people, once they have that view of you, everything that you say and do, and this leads to, at the beginning of the video, my other big general problem. Everything you say and do will be interpreted in that lens of their first impression. In other words, ask anyone who has typed me as an ESTP or an ESFP, what about those things he said about himself? That doesn't sound extrovert to me. And you know what? Almost to a single individual, every one of these people will say, they will say, well, not all extroverts are talkative. Not all extroverts like to be around other people. Not all extroverts are quiet in public. Not all extroverts like to go to Disneyland or like crowds. Not all extroverts like loud noises or music. And they'll just, every single point you make, they'll interpret it as, well, that could be an exception, and still hold to their point about extroversion. So enough of my own problems with this issue. In general, how do we type people? Are we really coming to it with an open mind, or do we all type based on appearances and first impressions more than we would like to admit? Because I'm beginning to think that once we have our mind made up about someone's type, even if we see tangible empirical evidence to the contrary, we're not going to change our mind. And God knows I'm not proud of having to change my mind about my type. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing publicly. It's embarrassing personally. It's embarrassing to people whom I thought I was 100% decided, and then I think I'm wrong. That's no fun. However, at least it shows an open mind to the evidence at hand, rather than don't bother me with the facts, my mind's already made up, right? Anyway, just food for thought. Ask yourself, if you've got this far in the video, how do I type people? How do I type myself? When I see evidence against my presuppositions or first impressions or what I thought before, do I admit it into the body of evidence? And if there's enough, do I re-question or re-investigate the typing? Or do I interpret it through my own type-colored glasses, and no matter what the evidence is, use it as either an exception to the rule or try to pull it into the type you've already decided? I think if you can ask yourself that and answer it truthfully, you will gain some growth out of that. That's all I got. I'm out.